Yo, what's going on, guys? Sekapoko here, bringing you another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. We'll just be going over a preparation guide, my first one, for the training cave. And we'll be going over all the teams in global specific teams, going over the fights and why each of the units are very, very useful in each of the fights, passives of the bosses, etc. That may help you out for a global version of the training cave. Now, we don't know if we're getting the exact same thing as the Japanese version, but my guess is we'll get something very close. Big shout out to everyone who came out to the charity stream. We raised $2,645 for Pink One. So guys, thank you guys for coming out. It was a huge amount. And we did that in just about 8 hours. So that's insane. And one of the rewards, of course, was, a shout out at the YouTube video. So Tech Chick, Please Love Me, Proto, Frotsberry, Silver 7, All Monsters, Tellenroyd. Thank you guys for coming out to the stream, and thank you guys for the big donos on the charity stream for Pink One. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So guys, of course, in preparation for the training cave, many moons ago, I created a spreadsheet that was helping you guys figure out exactly who the best characters are for training cave, giving some recommendations exactly what you can do. And of course, we updated that on the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross GC website. This spreadsheet, of course, in the description below, if you want that, it's right there. I go over the different fights and different recommended units for each of the fights, and we're going to be talking about each of the fights and give you an idea what to expect on each fight going through. Go over the passes on each character, each team that we're going to be fighting, and of course, we're going to be going over some of the different suggestions that I have for the rationales for each of the fights right here, and also what you're going to be using to fight other teams that come up, and I'll be using some training cave teams throughout this to help you out. We also have an updated list on the SDSTC.gg website to give you an idea of what to expect for each of the fights, and gives you alternates for each of the teams. So if you ever want to know more about the fights and you need a website access to it and you don't have time to open a Google Sheet, it is also available on the SDSTC website. This is directly from my guide and just pulled out the global friendly units. I'll be doing a visual guide so you have more information after that. So to let you guys know about the training cave, there are 3 different levels of the training cave that you can go into. You can go into the level 1 training cave, as you can see here, which is a 60,000 combat class fight, and this is a gearless combat class fight. You can go to a level 2 crystal, which are the medium-sized crystals over here, and these are going to be 75,000 crystals for combat class. And finally, the level 3 crystals that you're going to see, which are going to be, of course, 90,000 combat class, and that is ungeared combat class. Now, once you use a team, that team is going to become fully locked out. So if you are going to here, I can see I'm midway through the training cave now, just for purposes of this video, and I'm going to be going down to the teams that I can use. You can kind of see that down here I will have completely redded out and locked out units from characters I have already used during the training cave. This section is going to go over the reward table for every single fight in the training cave, and I'm going to list them all out here in numbers. Thank you guys for watching the channel. We hit about 36,000 subscribers recently, and that's awesome. So if you guys would be so kind to hit the like button, it really does help out very, very much so. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you do want to get notified whenever I put one of these videos out. Many of the questions I get asked during a lot of my YouTube videos in the comment section or ideas there, many questions and comments that I do get are very repetitive, and they're usually the same ones. So make sure that you subscribe so you can actually get notified every time I drop a video, because I usually go over them. I also have guide playlists in my YouTube channel, so if you do want to see a list of guides and figure out what they are, just get the main channel, look at the YouTube guide list, and you'll be able to find all the guides that are listed out, as well as fun things I put out. So out here, we're going to be using this team. It is Griamore, Dogetto, and Fuckboy. I don't remember who the Fuckboy is actually in the back line. I don't remember who it is, but this is how we do the training cave with level 80 and 75 units against this fight. It's very difficult. It's a great strategy taught to me by Himalayan monks. In all honesty, it's probably the most difficult thing to do. So be very careful when doing the training cave with this particular team. It's only really broken. I think it's Red Dreyfus actually. I think it actually is Red Dreyfus. But I'm gonna go AFK real quick. I'm gonna grab myself a sandwich and a soda, and I'll be back after this fight's over, because training cave is boring as shit. This boss increases attack by 30% and critical chance by 50% at max ultimate gauge, and is immune to stun, petrify, attack seal, and gives himself 2 ultimate gauge at the start of the fight. As you can see, training cave is very difficult. So make sure when you're doing the training cave with level 80 units, because you're a baller, you try your very best, and don't leave the room on auto. It's not that easy. I was only worried last month, because last month there was no way I had 48 6-stars. Now I got 48 6-stars. It's fucking easy, right? All right. Next match. All right, next fight for the training cave. Kablamo! This fight is against Hendrickson. Main thing against Hendrickson is you can use ignites, you can use a lot of different strategies. There's many different things you can do here. But what a lot of people end up doing is just like full send nuking him and then using full counter melee just to like full counter, and then you're done. It's pretty simple all the way through. It's not a very difficult fight. He does a shitload of damage though, so be careful of that. Hendrickson's passives are minus 3% crit chance per ability. Oh, sorry, 3% crit chance and crit damage per ability used, and he gets +2 ultimate gauge, and he is not immune to stun or petrify, so you can just freeze him out or do whatever you want. Typically, I don't because fuck that. So I'm gonna go like this. We're gonna go like this and this, and we're just gonna full send it. If you're wondering why I'm not going for the ulti here, no point. So if Rimuru dies here, I immediately get the ulti now, which is big positive because, you know, I have 4 Rimuru cards, and when he dies, I got to merge on the Meliodas, so I instantly get my ulti here. So sometimes you don't even need to do that, man. So it's nice. All right, so I'm also at above like 80% HP, so there's no reason to even use a full counter. So I'm just gonna full send on damage here, and we'll be good to go. So I'm just gonna go with a, I'm gonna do this for the stun, and then it's gonna do this, and it's gonna do tons of damage, and I have Green King on the side here as well to do tons of damage. The boss, and like half the time you can just full send it normally, the other half the time you gotta like really pay attention and do lots of crazy things, but it is pretty easy. I actually removed the stun there on accident with King, so be careful. I was foolish and I did that in inappropriate order, but it's fine. Yeah, when you have King, make sure don't use your ruin attack before the Meliodas stun. That would be foolish. Don't do that. There's a guy named Sekapoko who did that. It ended his whole career right there, just right there. Oh, it's over right there. Oh, over. Game over. Next we up have the Weird Queen. She's pretty easy. The thing with this fight here is the boss is immune to ultimate gauge reduction as well as freeze and petrify. And when she uses her attack skills or debuff attack skills, she's able to remove 1 enemy card, which is really annoying. But seeing how she actually has all debuff skills, as you can see here, makes it really easy to fight her because all you have to use is Red Slater's character card here, and then you can just do whatever you want after that. Makes it a super, super simple fight. So just all you gotta do, Red Slater, easy win. Okay, so now we're gonna have our first yellow crystal match. So after you defeat 3 sets of enemies in the training cave, what's gonna happen here is you're gonna actually be fighting a team that you have previously used. This yellow crystal, when it pops up, it goes, hey, you gotta, the team gotta fight. You go over to the yellow crystal, it says okay, you hit yes, and then to figure out exactly what team that you are fighting, what you're gonna do is go ahead to this little eyeglass up here, and you go down to here to figure out what the team is. The team is a mono green team that you used earlier. You can see with the green, 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 green. So what I'm gonna be using is a mono red team to counter it. So we're gonna be doing this team right here, and it's gonna be a mono red team, and this Guild Thunder is just here for CC. I'm already 14 minutes into this fucking recording. Are you kidding me? Holy shit, we are definitely needing to fast forward some fights here. Now, when you're fighting your own teams, what's really important to do is, of course, try to build teams that will counter the enemy team. First off, and the second, area effect teams are very, very helpful. So I got 3 area effect red units here, and I'm going to be using all 3 of them to do damage here. You can see area effect damage 28,000, and then we got the Twig another 25,000, and then finally we got the Hauser doing the big baby damage. Okay, next up we got this slime dude. All right, we're gonna be using this mono red team. All right, main mechanics for this fight are the boss will remove, every removed debuff from this boss will heal 50% of this boss's missing HP. So a character like Red Lizhawk is like super, super nice here because you're just constantly going to be ramping your damage over time and you're not gonna have to worry about anything. A character like Red Merlin is also nice here because she's just gonna freeze out the boss so he can't actually use abilities the entire time. And the sitting on the freeze is just locking him out the entire time. You get to use this on a very annoying fight. I'm going to go ahead and, just in case she would have died, I'm going to use a Bond attack and then just 2 Merlin attacks, just in case, to show you guys exactly how much damage the Bond does in the training cave here. Very nice to have this Bond specifically for this route. This is actually 66,000, way more damage than we were doing before. So, really nice to have the Bond. Alright, now we're on this blue bullshit guy. Okay, I originally had Lilia, but now I'm going to use Ruin, or instead, because Ruin's actually not bad for this. Alright, so this boss in particular is kind of a nuisance because he's just going to constantly get more and more damage as the fight goes on. And that's not something you definitely do not want. He gets 3% attack skills every time he gets damaged. So you want to, like, do damage as slow as possible here. So I'm going to go ahead. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this, okay? I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do one of these just to get a bleed up, yeah? You can see some big PP damage over here from this guy. If I look at how much damage he's already done to me, if with a 30% attack down, okay? That's with 30% attack down. All right, for this guy, this is probably the more difficult of the fights. What I use for this fight is I use Helbram. This is where I use Gother. I use Helbram for this fight. Seka, you dirty, filthy Helbram player. Yeah, totally. For this fight, it's toxic. So this fight in particular was one of the more annoying fights they actually added much later. This was not in the original first 2 Cranium Caves that came to the Japanese version. This got added on the 3rd iteration. This guy's immune to freeze as well as ultimate gauge rollbacks, but is not immune to petrify. So that's why I ended up using 2 petrifying units. You don't have to use both Helbram and Helbram here. I just really don't like this fight. I really hate this fight. It's just annoying. So what I end up doing is using Helbram because it's a lot easier and I don't have to worry about it. And what I end up doing, the other second ability the boss has is if you use an ultimate ability to try to kill the boss, but it somehow does not kill the boss, if the boss ever goes below 50% of his HP, you're actually going to heal the boss back up. Yeah, that's annoying as fuck. What? You heal him back up? Yeah, it's stupid. It's hella stupid. Okay. So, again, I'll show you the passive here just for research purposes, so you guys can get triggered with me on exactly how broken this is as an ability. Hopefully we actually get a Petrify, though, because, that would suck if I didn't. I did get a Petrify. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and rank up here onto Helbram. Okay, I'm going to use an ultimate ability and then Petrify. Now, when I use my ultimate ability here, you'll notice that he boss at about 60% HP, and the ultimate goes off, bam, and he's going to take damage, but then he healed back up. So if you bring him below 50% HP, but it doesn't kill him, he heals back to full. Very, very annoying. So, as you can see, be careful. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and start pumping out some more damage. And of course, get a Petrify in, because that's what you do with Helbram. You continuously just Petrify until the enemy is dead. It's very, very simple. So, that's how this fight is done. I recommend a Helbram team because it's super effing annoying without a Helbram team. So it's a red. So we're going to be fighting a red team, my original red team here. So I'm going to make a blue team. I'm going to be using this team right here for a global footing team. If you don't have D-melee, it's not a needed unit. You just use whatever you want. I would just use area effect characters, and the team I'm going to be fighting is stronger because I'm stronger on JP. So the yellow crystal fights are what's really interesting. Is the stronger you are, the stronger you have to be against to beat them. So it's really fun to do that. And I'm not using any food on these fights. So if you want to use food, of course you can. I'm just not using food right now. So you can see that you can boost yourself in different ways to beat your own teams. You can see there I used a blue fat king earlier on my other team because I was like, yo, I actually don't want to deal with this guy. It's probably going to be super annoying to fight this later, so I'm just going to use because I didn't want to fight this mono red. I just made the backline a very weak unit, so I didn't have to worry about anything. It's really nice to do that sometimes. It's just like you screw one of your teams over, make it weaker, and you can see that team had 101,000 combat class before anything else, so it's kind of a nice thing just to do that to yourself. So screw some of your teams over by giving them worse units so that when you fight them later, it's actually really easy. I have actually never seen that Jericho animation. That was super fire. It's been a game of a year. I've never seen that. Dragon. How many of y'all remember how toxic the blue dragon was? That toxic again. So what we're gonna do here is we use Kane just for damage, and then Broskinor and a Gustav. Gustav, very nice for this. Okay, so the way this fight works is the boss gets 8% base stats for every debuff on enemies. So if you had like 10 debuffs or 9 debuffs from like triple ignite or whatever the boss does, that will heavily scale this dude. So what we do to make sure that doesn't happen is we're gonna do all these abilities right here, right? Oh, we're just gonna ignite real quick, and then we can freeze if we really need to next turn. Not this turn, but next turn. Because when he has his ulti, that's when he's scary, okay? If you have low damage, you definitely do not want to freeze on the first turn. You just want to take some hits here, no big deal. Just take the hits, be a man, be a man. You can see Kane just doing work here. He dead. It's fine, because, you know, Kane's a bitch. And then there goes, okay, he dead. Okay, so watch out for those, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do Escanor, right? Escanor, and then we're going to freeze the boss. Okay, very important. Freezing the first turn might not be in your best interest, but freezing the second turn when the boss has his ulti, that's definitely the way to go. Okay, let one of your guys die, no big deal, freeze them out, chill. Dragon's a bitch now. Okay. Okay, next up we're fighting Helbram, and we're using this blue team. I'll go over replacements for this team because this team gets weird. So for this fight, Helbram is really similar to the green fairy demon style lady where she only has debuff skills, but Helbram has buff and debuff skills. So he's going to buff himself constantly while also putting bleeds up. He also has a passive ability where it's kind of like Galen's passive where it just puts a debuff on a random target, but the debuff, instead of like unable to rank up, lowers HP per turn. It's minus 10% HP per turn. So what I do here to stop a boss using any type of buff skills, if he has like 2 or more buff skills, I literally just lock him out with Gother. But seeing how he only has 1 card right now, what I'm going to do here is I am just going to start up on Arthur here. I'm going to do Arthur, and we're going to do a DN attack. Now this Arthur has increased damage per boss ultimate level on a detonate skill for a single target, which is super nice. Next turn, he's going to probably do a buff skill and an ultimate skill, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. But seeing how he's buffed, I'm using Matrona DN to just give out a little bit more damage here. There's the double buff, and it doesn't stack, unfortunately. It looks like he's going to be using a 1-star card next turn, no problem. But what I'm going to do here is, since he has a buff, I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop one of these just to stop a little bit more of his damage. I don't know if it's actually going to do anything, but I'm just doing a little bit. So we got the 1-star Gother ultimate here. You can use a blue Liz as a replacement instead of the Gother. It's a little tricky to use either of them, but what I end up doing here is just going to go with this, and then we're going to go ahead and drop the Gother ability here to lock out the boss's buffs. You can't lower his ultimate gauge, by the way. It does not do anything, so you're just going to have to continuously chip him down. But being able to lock out his debuff skills makes it a lot easier. Rimmer was here specifically for CC. Other variants you can use blue Meliodas if you want. I am using Arthur because Arthur over time scales up HP skills and will give him more HP, more health, more regen, more lifesteal, etc. over the fight. And seeing how Helbram's abilities are bleed abilities, things like that really do help out when trying to build up on the boss. And seeing how blue Meliodas could get the debuff on him, it's a little bit trickier for that. We're fighting the last fight on here, which is the Red Giant. Using this team with a Gallant as well as Liz, as well as a DPS character with Slater. Any DPS character is fine, and then we get a Marmite in the back. Marmite for HP for your blue characters. You would think that, oh wait, what shouldn't Red Liz be in the back? But no, actually Red Liz in the front is actually super nice, because if you end up getting Red Liz heal cards, they will actually boost ultimates, making the fight a lot easier. The whole team is reliant on Gallant's Taunt, which is really interesting. So the boss actually only has single target abilities on the first turn, and when he gets his ultimate is an area effect ability. But seeing how he only has single target abilities early on, it makes it a lot easier to just full send this dude. So Slater unfortunately does not do a ton of damage here, but it is a DPS character. Any DPS character will work fine. So the boss is going to remove 1 debuff at the start of every turn. You can see there he already removed the bleed that I put up on him, and if I put 2 debuffs on it, it's going to remove a random debuff. You're not actually sure which one it's going to be. It's just going to be any random debuff. So what I'm going to do in this turn here is I'm going to end up using a bleed skill here, and I'm going to go ahead and use an attack seal. So if the attack skill stays, then that's great. If it doesn't, oh well. And we're going to use the attack seal, bleed attack seal. So if the attack seal falls off, great. I'm sorry, the bleed falls off, great. Then we'll have the attack seal, and we'll prevent a lot of damage coming our way. Here it comes, and the thing that fell off was the bleed. So now he's attack sealed for 2 turns. Oh, sorry, 1 turn, and now we took the ultimate. And because we have Liz here, Liz makes us heal all the way back up. So now I'm going to go ahead and use a move on my Liz, heal on my Liz, and then we're going to go ahead and use a Gallant card here. Now this makes it so it's a little bit easier, and you can see our whole team is topped off here. Took an ulti and it was no problem. The issue is that the boss will target random characters with a single target attack, but seeing how we have Marmus on the team, it makes it very, very easy to survive this because Gallant has a ridiculous health pool already and is taunting the boss infinitely. Dude, we've recorded for like almost 40 minutes, actually over 40 minutes now. And our final Yellow Crystal fight is against the team that we were just using a mono green team again, and we're using CS Bond here. I bet you that Gallant is gonna put his commandment on Bond, and I can't snatch. It's gonna take longer. Watch. I fucking bet you. Just to be super toxic, that's exactly what's gonna happen. Watch. Oh, thank God. That's gonna bug the crap out of me. You'll pay with your life. So there it is, guys. Training cave completed. Got all the rewards done, and that's it. That's how it goes. All right, guys. Well, my name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, of course, like and subscribe, all the fun stuff, and have a great rest of your day.